Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jarrell. I develop games for a living. Today I'm going to take a look at Enchanted Portals. Now, I am aware that some people have expressed some degree of dissatisfaction when it comes to the overall quality of this game, when it comes to the end user experience of the game. It looks very similar to Cuphead in terms of visual aesthetic and gameplay, but if it is similar to Cuphead, perhaps it should be good as well, because Cuphead is generally regarded as very good quality. So let's take a look. I have picked this up recently on the Nintendo Switch eShop. It was on sale for quite a good price. I don't know anything about this game. I really have not seen it before. Two players. I do like that. I like local co-op. I have the music turned off just so it's not distracting or anything like that. So in today's episode, I'll put this on normal mode. In today's episode, I want to cover this topic from an educational perspective to help people who are working on their own games, developing their own works, and want to be able to create better games for people. Again, I have heard that people are dissatisfied with this game. I do not have any thoughts on the game yet. I have not seen it or played it, so I don't really know if this is going to be a good experience or a bad experience. And I just want to be able to help you understand what could contribute to a game experience that is either good or bad. And when we discuss this topic, something that one person will enjoy may not be something that someone else enjoys. This is a medium where someone can absolutely love a game while someone else can really hate it. And the same goes for movies, for books, any kind of medium. And so we need to consider that you focus on your target audience and you create something for that audience. If you try to make your product please absolutely everyone, then you are not necessarily going to please anyone, because you can't please everyone. And if you try, you're going to make such a generic, boring product that it's just not fun. So I am led to believe that my green bullets have no effect on this enemy. I believe the game is teaching me that. I am not a reviewer for IGN, so I was able to figure this out relatively in a short amount of time. I believe it wants me to use a blue weapon, so I will use my blue weapon now, and it looks like I was able to inflict damage upon that enemy. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult. I think I will have to shrink down my webcam size because it is taking up a little bit of the screen here, and I don't want to be unfair. Okay, now the game is teaching me how to play a video game. ZL, I push this button and it appears as though I have a melee attack of some kind. So the game is trying to teach me that I perform the melee attack upon that object. I do have some double jumps, so now it wants me to switch to my color, and I have to use the color, otherwise I will not be able to deal any damage at all. So I'm avoiding the hazards which the enemy has sent in my direction. I'm unable to... Okay, there we go. Now there is a little bit of input lag on this here. Something with my capture card is introducing some degree of input lag, so I am not... I'm not an IGN reviewer. Okay, I'm just letting you know that there is going to be some degree of input lag here for me. So ZL to perform my attack. Okay, my melee attack did not hit the wolf. Now there is some degree of leniency when it comes to failure. Failure leniency is something very important to consider. For example, in older games, say for example, let's take Super Mario Bros. Your failure leniency is generally quite low. It's not that lenient, because if Mario takes one hit and he's not Super Mario, then you have failed that part of the level, and you have to start from a checkpoint. When you have picked up a mushroom or a firefly, you are able to take one hit before you reach the failure state, and so the failure leniency is adjustable based on whether or not the player has picked up your power-ups. I've been hit a number of times, and I still haven't reached the failure state, so the failure leniency seems to be a little bit high. High failure leniency means that you it's a little lenient, and you don't have to, play super specifically. Now, it appears as though any enemy can possess a shield of a specific color, and that means that not every enemy of that type you don't always have to switch the elements, but sometimes you do, and you have to pay attention to the enemy if they have that shield or not. But it feels a little okay. I have a little bit of controller drift on the analog stick, so it's not the game's fault. But if I miss a platform here, just to let you know, my Joy-Cons are experiencing some degree of drift. Oh, okay, so I see I sustained some damage. The jumping feels odd to me. So if I have not started moving, it takes a while. So here I have not started moving. And if I hold right after jumping, that's the farthest I can get. I don't I don't like that at all. So let's say I build up momentum. That is something that I feel is quite unpleasant, because this a game like this is a platformer that is based on dealing with enemy threats. That is the core appeal of this. You are dealing with enemy threats, and every mechanical decision that the developers have implemented should focus around dealing with enemy threats. And the fact that movement is velocity based works against that. So there is mechanical dissonance already, which I find a little unpleasant. It works in a game like Sonic the Hedgehog, because Sonic the Hedgehog is designed specifically to be momentum based, and the core appeal of that is momentum based movement to navigate the level. And dealing with enemies is not the core appeal and not the core objective with Sonic the Hedgehog. In this game, dealing with the enemies is the core appeal, and it's the core objective. And you know it's the core objective because everything else is designed specifically around dealing with enemy threats. You have 3 weapon types. I haven't. Do I get more weapon types? This is a threat which I am not able to deal with at present. That man had a cool ghost. There's a ghost grandpa reading a ghost newspaper by the fire. This is kind of a fun environment. It's neat. I do like this kind of detail with these sorts of environments. But we're still in the introductory stages. There's a briefcase. I do want to grab that. I can't. I think I may be blocking um, maybe my heart indicator, or perhaps I'm in front of it. I'm not sure. This fun little details. I like the lady back there brushing the painting. That's kind of neat. There is a flatness to this environment that is. It's not great in that the color contrast and dynamic in the foreground is the same as it is in the background. And so it makes it a little harder to pay attention to what is in the foreground. In the background, the color contrast should be a little dimmer, and the colors used there should be a bit darker so they don't stand out too much. It makes it feel very flat. And this kind of scene would have significantly stronger visual communication and visual clarity if the background were to have dimmer colors and more or less dynamic tonal values. That one's red, and I don't trust that guy now. So I got to go blue. 1 2 blue, 1 2 blue. Okay. So in that situation, I was unsure of what was happening, and then I was just sort of button mashing, and then I was able to deal with the situation by button mashing, which I don't think was that a checkpoint? I don't really want to be rewarded for button mashing, but that's what I did in that situation, because switching from one color to another, I'm not just switching, I'm toggling, and that kind of makes things feel a little clumsy in that I don't really have direct control over the attack. And the game, it's telling me that it's asking me to pick the right element or the right color at the right time. I'm going to reach failure state here pretty soon, I believe. So my health is going to be depleted. I need to go green. Okay. Please, I need that. I believe I need some health. So I constantly have enemies constantly rushing in from the left. So I'm constantly needing to turn around. And now it feels like there is not a specific pattern to the enemies. And in terms of platforming, there are no platforming elements. I'm identifying stage hazards which cannot be interacted with. So they are non-interactable stage hazards. I have no way to stop those stage hazards. I simply need to avoid them. This particular environment has no pitfalls, which is quite you. It's typical for a platformer to have pitfalls. I'm now boarding an elevator to a location which I have no understanding of. I don't know if I've gone up or down. There were no frames of animation. Okay, so I constantly have enemies that are spawning in with a lack of context here. I don't know what the context of a spider dangling from the ceiling is. There's constantly ghosts sweeping. I don't really understand why these are here. I understand that I'm in a spooky mansion or a spooky hotel of some kind. Um, but in terms of internal logic, why do these enemies occupy this environment? Why do the enemies sometimes have a shield of a specific color? Um, and this is not fun because I'm doing the exact same thing over and over again at this point, and it feels like the game is just saying, just get to the end, and I don't feel like I'm making moment to moment progress. The reason why I feel that way is because there's nothing to indicate that I'm making moment to moment progress. Everything in the stage looks exactly the same from the beginning to the end to the middle. Every piece of geometry, every environmental element looks exactly the same. The enemies are exactly the same. The threats that I'm facing, the hazards, are not escalating. So there's a lack of escalation when it comes to challenge. There's a lack of natural progression when it comes to the variety of elements. And I don't know if the game is scripted to keep generating these, if it is generating hazards on a timer. Uh, I can't tell. I can't understand or discern that. And it doesn't feel like I have a connection to this environment. Let's compare this to something like Mega Man, where with Mega Man, you know you're making progress because the environment changes. The hazards that you deal with are constantly changing. In Mega Man, you don't have the exact same one vacuum ghost trying to suck you up. Um, you don't have arbitrary enemies where it's the exact same enemy, but it just so happens that sometimes the enemy has a shield. If this were Mega Man, then it would be a new, unique enemy. The enemy graphics would be different, and there would be some sort of visual feedback, some story, some visual indication to let you know that this particular approach that you are taking is not working, and you need to take a different approach. And so, when you see that enemy, you feel like you understand that world. You feel like you're a part of it, and this feels arbitrary. It feels like there's no reason for these enemies to suddenly have a different color shield around them. And what this indicates to me is that the developers did not allocate the resources and time to create unique enemy types. What they've allocated their time for was for other things, but now we have a situation where there's very few enemy types, very little variation when it comes to the level layout, and this is the exact same level over and over again. I just came from this level. I'm doing the exact same thing mechanically over and over again. And so we have a concept. This is extremely important. Please, this will be on a test. Value of visuals. And please keep that in mind. Value of visuals is how valuable are the visuals on screen. And it is important for you to consider that your game should have very high value of visuals. Mega Man has very high value of visuals. That means that looking at the environment is very important. You need to comprehend what you see in the environment and whether or not you will reach the failure state or the success state is highly dependent on the visuals. I got hammered here. So that's a situation where the visuals really do matter. I need to pay attention to that. Um, but it feels like it's arbitrarily there and it is always present. So there's never a situation where it's okay for me to stand in that spot. It's never okay for me to stand in that spot. And it just feels like an arbitrary decision, and it's not very satisfying that I can never land in that spot. Um, I don't feel that I will reach uh, the success state on this boss fight because I'm not fully paying attention to it. I'm busy trying to explain some concepts to you here. So this is my fault. I'm not going to say that that's design that is not good, but what I am saying is that this does not feel satisfying, um, because that this is it's very static. There's nothing dynamic about this. It's the witch throwing out cats, and the value of visuals is very low when it comes to the witch. She's throwing out the cats, and this is now a war of attrition. It's just a matter of time until I don't get hit enough times and I can hit the witch. I tried blue. So blue basically does the same thing as red, and green does something mechanically different. So what I'll do here is now I'll just pay a little bit of attention, and I'll just wait until the cat runs my direction, and I'll jump at the right time here. Okay, so cat goes left, cat goes right. The next cat will go left, and then the next cat will go right. No, okay, that one went left. Okay, now they're going. Is it dependent on the side of the screen that she is on? Okay, there appears to be some arbitration when it comes to the direction which the cats run. Okay, I do have some input lag, so that is affecting my ability to judge timing correctly. But the cats are more times than not, they're going to the left. Okay, see how I'm doing the exact same thing? So the value of visuals is extremely low on this. And when you are developing your games, please consider the value of visuals. It's extremely low right now. I don't really need to pay attention to what's going on. Those creatures in the back, if they move left and right, it would have been a significantly more effective situation. She has performed some degree of transmutational magic upon me. There is a change up. I am now jumping over these creatures. It is interesting to have a change up like this. I have reached the failure state. I am blocking the screen, so it's a little hard for me to judge, but I think I'm going to wrap this up. This is not particularly interesting or entertaining mechanically. So you see the value of visuals is quite low. It is the consideration of the mechanical expectation of the player. What do you expect the player to do, and how are you delivering the challenge to the player? You see the environments. It was looping the exact same background over and over again, and there were no elements to the platforming that gave me a reason to really jump other than vacuum ghosts, but it was the exact same thing over and over again. So there's a lack of variety, a lack of mechanical complexity, a lack of internal logic, and there's no real reason why I should switch weapons. The weapons are so samey that the only actual reason to switch the weapon is an arbitrary decision for some enemies to just have a magic shield for no reason, and it's very unsatisfying. So this is competent in that it is a game which you can reach either a failure state or a success state based on the user input. So it is competent from that respect, but on a deeper level, there is significant room for improvement with this product, and I strongly hope that these developers keep working, keep improving. I don't want to insult or discourage these developers. Instead, I would like to encourage them to go back and study games that they enjoy. I'm not saying copy them, because what they've done is a superficial um, replication of the visual style of Cuphead. And when you are still early in your career, when it comes to your ability to conceptualize, to create concepts, and then to apply those concepts in a practical workspace, it's okay to copy things a little bit because you don't really have your own ability to create something different and unique yet. But this to me conveys a total lack of understanding of creating a gameplay experience. This conveys a total reliance on copying an existing product without understanding that product on a deeper level. So there's a lack of understanding of the end user experience, of how to create a new experience, what creates a good experience, what creates a bad experience. There's a complete and utter lack of understanding here. But I congratulate you for creating this product. I congratulate the developers for making this far, because it is very difficult. This is a coherent product, but the value of visuals, the mechanical complexity, the way that these concepts are applied, it conveys that they don't actually have really any understanding of game design. And I hope that these developers keep continuing and growing. Thank you for watching today's episode. I hope this has been useful to you. If you're working on your own games, I wish you the best of luck. Please do your best to keep improving, to keep growing. I'm still on my journey, and I really need to keep improving my skills, to keep expanding my level of understanding when it comes to development. And I really hope that you will also work hard. Please do your best. Take care, everyone. I will see you in the next episode. Let me know if there are any other products that you would like me to cover. If you have any requests, just let me know. Thank you.